So somebody called me a marriage dropout. And I found that really clever. I thought, oh, marriage dropout, this is a good one. A series on shame. And we just discuss shame because shame only works when we keep quiet. I always tell women, because I learned this, I can't remember where I learned it from, is take a picture of yourself as a little girl.
It is in this one.
Yes. And put that picture somewhere where you see it.
Yes.
And every time you want to do something, every time you want to be with somebody, every time you want to take a job, every time you want to go somewhere, would you let that little girl do that? That self-love starts from loving that little girl, because that little girl is you. That is your self-love. Now, when it comes to self-abandonment, women are praised for suffering. Let me tell you.
It's like a bad
It's love. We're just getting a chance. Hata sikukula jana. Nilipatia watoto yote watakula. Hata nimetembea kutoka sijui wapi ni same fare. You think you're so good. All those things. Self-abandonment, people can use so many things to justify it. People say, oh, but I'm a good mother. I give my children everything. But are you a good mother? because being good starts with being good to you. I'll only be a good person to somebody else, even to my children, if I'm good to myself. So if I'm overextended, that's why you find you are hearing now people saying, I have a mother wound. Because your mother was trying so hard to be there for you, not there for herself. She became toxic.
It's true. Did you know that storytelling is one of the oldest forms of cultural preservation in Africa? Yet, only 1% of Kenyan authors are widely read outside the continent. It's time for another transformative session where we learn, grow, and get inspired. At the Power Dialogue Africa, we bring you real stories with real impact, creating real change, because when we share our stories, we empower a generation. Our guest today is changing that narrative. As the creator of Adua is Dating in Nairobi and Aminata, her work explores modern African womanhood with humor and very raw honesty. Her weekly newsletter, Letters from Felgonah, reaches readers globally, proving the universal appeal of her voice. From discovering her love for writing in class 4 to becoming a celebrated columnist and author, her journey is one of rebellion, resilience, and authenticity. Today, we'll dive into her life as a recovering romantic, her reflections on relationships, and how she's redefining African storytelling for a global audience. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss these powerful conversations. Also, subscribe to the Power Dialogue Africa on your favorite podcast platform and follow us across social media. Who would you like to see next on the Power Dialogue Africa? Drop their name in the comment section and also your questions, and we'll make this happen. I am Zeddy Bariti, and this is the Power Dialogue Africa, where we celebrate African excellence, one story at a time. Let's get started. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Karibu sana to the
Asante sana. Asante sana.
You're very bubbly and smiley. We'll have such a warm conversation together. Me too.
The ancestors are on my side.
Yes, always, always.
Yeah.
If someone is to come across our conversation and your warmness and mine, I hope, what would you like for them to know about you?
I'm Felgonah. I'm Felgonah. I'm a mom. I have 4 kids. I'm a writer. I'm a storyteller. I love Roomba.
I see your TikToks all Rumba.
Yes,
That is
yes.
indeed true.
Though I have 2 TikToks, on the Roomba side and then the side where I'm just starting to have conversations. I didn't have it. So yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out my time here. Yeah, and working with others as well, and seeing how best we can experience uh, time on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're here for a good time. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know where I'm going after this. For all I know, we are
When you're
sleeping
present,
somewhere.
you party here.
I'm here.
I like that spirit.
Yeah.
I'll borrow for men.
Yeah.
I'd like for you to tell us your childhood
Mhm.
and if it's contributed to who you are today, your personality, your warmth,
Mhm.
and what you do. What was your childhood like, and how did it shape you to be the person you are today?
Yeah. So I think my childhood was pretty normal. I want to say pretty normal because in those days I grew up in the 80s, 90s, and in those days we still had community. It's not like these days where we are very individualistic. And I'm not saying that I'm even criticizing anybody. I don't even know my next door neighbor, so I'm not criticizing people. I'm just saying that this is what we had. And there's a lot of community because a lot of our parents came from the village together, to come to school, to go to the university, to work. So you found that people who came from one place kept a certain, kept in touch.
Yes.
So I grew up around a lot of family. My parents were still at the university when I was born. So I was born in Kisumu, spent time with my grandma, who I'm named after. And then when my mother started working, she was a teacher at Togoto Teachers College. So, and my father went to France to do his master's. Then we came back. So then now when he came back, then I grew up around Westlands area. My father was a lecturer at the university. So it was that community. I have so many friends that we started school right from nursery school until now, and some of them even are relatives. So we pretty much had the same type of childhood. So went to nursery school, primary and secondary here, and then did further studies here as well. So my childhood was pretty stable or normal for me. Let me not say normal.
So you're more of a city girl.
I'm more of a city girl. Though as I've grown older, I like the village quite a bit.
It happens.
I found a pull to the village. Yeah. Now, I don't know the soil or what, but there's something.
Your ancestors.
My ancestors, yeah, are calling me. Yeah. So I had my mom present, my dad present. My parents were very, I want to say, liberal for their time. My parents were pretty open with us. I was allowed to speak up. I was allowed to question. I was allowed to be curious. Both my parents had lots of books, so I had access to a lot of books pretty early. So it allowed me to find words for many things. It allowed me to see many places that I've never been. My parents were so big on vocalizing things. So we talked a lot. We discussed a lot. I was expected to have an opinion. Yeah, so you couldn't just, I don't know. you couldn't, I don't know yourself into anything. So you really had to express yourself and have even facts. You couldn't, I couldn't be sensational. Those are like, everybody's doing it. Who is everybody? Things are happening to which things?
Diagrams.
Yes, yeah, which things? So, and I think that helped me be who I am today. I'm able to look at things a bit more objectively. I have a lot of words for things that I need or want or I see. I can be very outspoken. Sometimes even without knowing, people say, "Oh, you're so bold to say that," and I'm like, everybody. I mean, like everybody should be able to say this about
very bold that I have heard you speak. It's just on another level.
Yeah, but you see, because of my background, I didn't think it was anything.
That was your normal.
That was my norm, yeah. Because, and as much as it has helped me now, I see the advantage now that I'm older. But somewhere in between, it felt like a curse.
How so?
Because you are with people who might take it as being rude, who might take it as being forward, who might take it as being disrespectful, and especially when it comes to sometimes like a relationship dynamic. So I come from a place where it's not that you're a woman, you can't do, or you're a girl, you can't say. I found out all these things outside my parents' home. In fact, I say, though I don't like the word too much, I think we need to get an African form of feminist word for us. But I think my father was a feminist. He didn't, my father was very liberal with us. We didn't come from a home of you're a girl, you're a boy. That you are a girl, you're a boy, you can't do, I felt outside our home, not at home. Yeah. So when you come out now and you're trying to deal with friends, you're trying to deal with relatives, you're trying to deal with relationships. My parents died pretty young for me. I was getting into adulthood. So now I'm the one who's dealing with relatives and they think, oh, she's so disrespectful. See, the parents spoiled her, because they're not used to that dynamic where a woman says, no, it's not making sense.
Would you attribute it to the education that your parent had, considering that your mother was a teacher and your father was already a lecturer? Did it play a role in you being outspoken and being able to speak to yourself? Would you say that played a role?
I don't know, because there are very many people whose parents were teachers and whatnot, even other things, yeah. Even exposed people who even traveled and whatnot. I just think, I think I was fortunate enough, and I think for me I always call it my privilege, that my parents, my grandparents wanted to make it better for the next. Yeah, my grandmother didn't go to school really. I think she went maybe till class 2 or whatever. Yes, but she was so forward thinking
and progressive.
Yes, even in that in her environment. Yeah, we always say if she was born maybe somewhere else, she'd be a Martha Stewart type woman. Yeah, but because of the environment that she had and the limitations that were set on her by society. So she still managed to find ways to move on, to be more progressive, to be more open, to want better for the next generation. So I don't even think it's that they were educated, because there were very many educated people. I just feel like I just happened to come from people who wanted something,
better.
Something different, who dared to think different, because very many people. And it's not just very many people, it is actually easier to just go along with the flow.
And not ask questions.
And not question, yes. Tunafanyanga hivi. Yeah. Sisi kwetu tunafanyanga.
You don't destabilize the status quo, just but you don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You're comfortable, all is good.
Yeah.
And such is our society today, because when you speak out, when you ask questions, as you've said, you're the odd one out. Why?
Yes.
Yeah, and that has been normalized. You just okay things and just brush off things and move forward. And I think it's high time we ask questions, especially for women, because it's only okay to do so. If you're not okay with something, speak up.
Thank you.
Ask.
Yes.
And it's very liberating.
It's okay to look foolish, even.
Liberating. Talking about liberation and good things and being progressive. What interesting project are you working on at the moment, Amy, that you can share with us?
So actually, I'm working on a podcast.
Really?
I don't know if it's a podcast or just a series. A series on shame. And it came about. So, of course, being in the space, I've been called all manner of things. I have people saying many things about me, and sometimes I wonder, do you people know me personally? Can we talk?
Social media.
Yeah, it gives people some bravery that they wouldn't otherwise have. So somebody called me a marriage dropout, and I found that really clever, because I'm like, I've been called many things, but I was like, this is clever. this is so. But the whole idea was to shame me. Like, like what is she saying? She's a marriage dropout. Yeah, like as if because I had a relationship that didn't work, then suddenly I can't think beyond that. That should be the end of everything. And it just dawned on me that women are usually stifled with shame. That is the currency that is used to stop us from going to school, to stop us from trying to grow, to stop us from trying to liberate ourselves, to stop us from trying to lead. Any aspect you think about it, it's always shame. Yeah. So they always look for something to shame you. So I thought, oh, marriage dropout. This is a good one. A series on shame. And we just discuss shame because shame only works when we keep quiet. Yeah. So if you call me marriage dropout, I feel bad and I go and I think about it and I'm all about it. Now it's working. But I'm like, dude, I got you. I see you.
Genius, wow.
Yeah. And this is clever. I'm like, okay, so I'm a marriage dropout. Yeah. And by the right now.
So to them, marriage is like an achievement. If you're not in it,
thing, yeah,
you're not good enough.
It's the most unfortunate thing that has happened to us. That we have thought the what we can do as women, because women also propagate that narrative that it's marriage. The other day, somebody sent me a clip of some man with his daughter. And he's really doting on his daughter. He takes her to travels, and they go for dates and whatnot. And they're like, oh, she'll not get a husband. I'm like, why? I told he's raised the standards too high. I'm just like, my God, my God. Wow. And this is women. It's not even that a man who's pushing this narrative. It's like, now she'll not be able to get a husband because the father has raised the standards too high. Even if we are that unfortunate, that only marriage, that's the only thing we can see in our future is marriage, shouldn't we then be pushing fathers to raise the standards? Because that's all we are going to do anyways, get married.
So marriage should be the bare minimum. Just get a man with bare minimum.
Thank you, yes. So we want to raise broken women with no fathers. It's okay, we will accept it, just so that they can marry men who will not try. Yeah, men who will ask you, what do you bring to the table? Yeah. Men who ask you.
I believe that is setting an example that it can be this good, because if you don't show your daughter that as a father, where will they know
that it can be
what level to aspire to? Because they won't know anything.
Yeah, and that's when you know when they're being treated right or wrong.
Yes.
And that's when you know, when you have confidence to say, this is not for me, thank you guys, I have seen myself out. Yeah. So, so that's the project basically that I'm working on now, that I want to share at this point. Marriage dropout.
As a marriage dropout.
Yes, a series on shame.
It's very brave of you to turn around that title, as mean and as well thought out as it were to hurt and demean. It's very brave of you to turn it out, and I like the perspective of speaking about shameful things so they're no longer shame.
Yes.
So most people will say you're audacious, as you said, you speak out a lot, and you look like someone who's not afraid to call out wrongs. Let me put it for the sake of this audience, wrongs as they are. What is something unexpected about you that people always assume you are that thing? Maybe it's not true, or a kind of misinformation that has been associated with you and is not actually true.
Yeah, so people think I'm mean. People think I'm mean. Actually, the most interesting thing is I'm actually not even an extrovert. I prefer my own company a lot. But I know how to get myself to do what needs to be done. Then I then need time again to go and recharge. Yes, yeah. So people expect every time they see me that I'll be, but there are times you see me and I'm the type who I'll see you from there and I'll look for where to hide and go, because I don't have the energy or whatever to deal. Yeah. But sometimes you can't just watch things go as they are. Sometimes I feel there are things that are placed in you that you must speak up on. And if you don't, then there could be serious consequences. there's a Nigerian artist that I love so much, Fela Kuti. Fela Kuti said, like for him, music was his thing. And he said he can't play with music because it's spiritual. And if he played with music, then he would die because that was what he was given to do here. So once you figured out what you're supposed to do here, then you can't play with it because then if you're not going to fulfill what you're supposed to do, then you have no business being here. Yeah. So I really want to fulfill what be here. Yeah.
I was watching your talk. I was actually at that Engage forum.
Oh,
and
nice.
I really love your presentation. It was very
Thank you.
And very well presented, as you have been told online. So I'd like to know, do you believe that daughters inherit their mother's love karma or their love patterns? And if so, why? And are there patterns you have seen to speak against this or speak to this?
So I really want to say daughters don't inherit their mother's love karma. We might we might just see patterns and learn patterns. There's learning and there's inheriting. The way sometimes we say, oh, people in our family are obese. No, it's not inherited. You don't inherit a fat gene. You inherit habits that cause you to then present in a certain way. Granted, there are people with better metabolism and whatnot, but still, because there are certain even diseases that come with patterns that you have learned from your people. So I don't believe that there's something like a curse or something that comes from a generation or on a people. And we like saying that wasichana, they don't get married. Wasichana they get married lakini wasichana get pregnant before. There's a pattern, something that they have learned. But it's not, and I say that we don't inherit that karma to free us, because most people then just decide to say, okay, this is what happens to us. Yeah, remember I said in my talk where I was told, oh, in your family they are this type of, so I could have said, yeah, okay, and then just sat there and done nothing and not learned anything. So I believe that we don't inherit a karma. We learn things, and sometimes those things that they are to learn are actually positive things to learn. Because if we sit down with our parents, with our mothers, with our grandmothers, whatever type of situation you find them in, and in whatever way they speak to you, there's a lesson to be learned. And it's not that you should stay. Sometimes they might just not have the words for it. And lately, I've been big on words. Because as we are progressing, the generations that are coming, they have words for things. They tell you that's trauma, that's depression, that's narcissism.
They label things very quickly.
Yes, that's a mother wound. That's, there are things. Emojis. Yes, yeah, there are things we didn't have. So those people might not have had a lot of words for them. So it is on us to sit down and actually look at the whole situation before we decide, sisi kwetu tunafanyanga hivi. I mean, this is what happened to us, and now we need to pray. Sometimes leave God to answer serious prayers. Just actually look at what's going on in your home and learn from it, and then unlearn what you need to unlearn. Because there's some things that are okay, and then there's some things that you really need to get out of. And that's how we change culture.
It's true.
Yeah.
Noticing the patterns and just learning. I agree with you. Because most of the time, I believe when the pattern has gone on for so long, people resigning themselves to it. If it happened to so and so, it means
yes, it will happen to me.
And it's a lazy way of going about things.
Life, yes.
Don't try.
Yeah.
We're just not courageous enough.
Push back.
With the outlier, maybe it will stop.
Happening. Yeah, exactly. That's true.
One thing that you have talked about over and over again, and I believe even in the books you have put out, usually say when people see the covers, sometimes they think it's about men. Well, you're not necessarily talking about men. They're always mentioned so many times in there, but it's about womanhood and self-love and everything.
Yes.
And I actually got this copy and I read it, and when I saw another man, I was ready for the men in the book, but I saw very little of that, which is very good. So I would like for you to share with us what do you understand or what do you believe self-love is? And there's another aspect you spoke about in your books, in your talks about self-abandonment. Women just resigning themselves there, putting themselves last after children and all that. So how do you distinguish between those two? How do you transition and navigate between self-love and self-abandonment? And you can just speak to those two disciplines.
Yes.
What do we mean by self-love, in your opinion?
Yes.
And self-abandonment. Actually, I had never come across self-abandonment until I read your books.
Ah, nice. Self-love for me is self-acceptance. One, we are rarely taught to accept ourselves, and especially as women, we grow up with a lot of things you don't accept about yourself. Or if you cry too much, or if you don't cry, you know, even in your physical body, maybe you have this, you don't have that, and you wanted this, you want that. So for me, self-love really is self-acceptance. When you accept yourself, you also don't judge yourself. When you accept yourself, you advocate for yourself. So self-love is self-advocacy. Very many women don't advocate for themselves. Even for a small thing as songa madam, and you don't want to move, you can say no. So it starts from those small things. So advocating for yourself, accepting yourself, and as cliche as that sounds, we don't believe in, we really gaslight ourselves, especially as women. I want to do this podcast. And I'll also take ownership, because it's not like I know everything, by the way. And because I know it for words, I've not always been able to practice it. I'll give an example of my TikTok account. My daughters really just bullied me into it, because I love Roomba so much. And they're like, Mom, you really love Roomba. Why don't you share? I'm like, no, I don't see my face and whatever. I don't want people to see me. What do they say? People start thinking, oh, maybe she's so silly. Why is she now doing Roomba at her age? And you play all these things that people have told. Yes.
Before anyone else.
Yes. So that now if it failed, you're like, I knew it. Yeah. So self-love is really just sitting with yourself. It's parenting yourself. As like you'll always have that little girl in you. I always tell women, because I learned this, I can't remember where I learned it from. You take a picture of yourself as a little girl.
It is in this one.
Yes. And put that picture somewhere where you see it.
Yes.
And every time you want to do something, every time you want to be with somebody, every time you want to take a job, every time you want to go somewhere, would you let that little girl do that? Love that self-love starts from loving that little girl. Whatever you do for that little girl, that is, because that little girl is you, that is your self-love. Now, when it comes to self-abandonment, women are praised for suffering. Let me tell you.
Like a bad
it's lovely. We're just getting hata sikukula jana. Nilipatia watoto yote watakula. Hata nimetembea kutoka sijui wapi ni save fare. They think you're so good. All those things. And for me, in fact, to some extent, I think it's manipulative. If you're trying to come to tell me those stories, I'm just like, no, I'm not interested in this thing. But we have been celebrated so much for abandoning ourselves. In fact, if you want to see, if just Mother's Day is coming up, check that Mother's Day videos. You'll see an old woman like it is, the love of a mother. And as pitiful as the next one, you're like, who's loving this mother? Is it you, her children, or is it her who is loving herself? Because there's no love in this picture. But we don't understand that if you abandon yourself, then you put people at risk. You become such a horrible woman when you are abandoned. Yeah, you are a really insufferable person when you abandon yourself, because I'm abandoning myself so that everybody can see how I've sacrificed. Yes. And now when you don't see it, I'm just like, this stupid man, I've given you everything. Your whole thing was, you're thinking that you're going to be a good woman now, but now you're insufferable. There is no trophy for being empty, because you're useless when you're empty. Children grow. Yeah, that has been always my thing. Like that's the same grandmother that I'm named after would eat. If there's no food, yeah, she'll eat the quarter meat by herself. Children can eat skewers. But okay, we say that on a light note. You're really not going to do that for your kids. But just so that we show you that nobody's going to die if you drink soda in town.
It's true.
Yeah, if you have that 40 bob and you're hungry, imagine drink that soda.
And the way men do it all the time. It's okay. Without a pinch of guilt. Like
Feels nothing. Yes, and nothing happens to anybody. I used to work somewhere around here, and so what would happen, like when we left, during lunchtime, so my colleagues and I, the women and I, would go and eat at a certain kibanda. And that kibanda would carry like Mjengo type people, because as we are saving money, men in our position from the same office would go to the bigger hotels to eat there.
Yes. They
So
can afford it.
yes, but for us, we're like, there's no way I can go up there to eat fork and knife, whatever. Watch, I come here and eat chapati madondo. And at some point, you're just like, this is not making sense, because then I'm not even getting proper nourishment. I can't work well. I come home, I can't. So I'm not at my best.
Yes.
Yeah. So abandoning yourself, thinking, and the reason anyway women abandon themselves is not because something is good is going to happen. It's because we are expecting praise from somewhere. That's why I say for me it's manipulative. We're expecting praise. We're expecting somebody will come. We also have this savior complex. Somebody will come from somewhere and see how I'm really working hard, and then they will reward me, and everybody will see how good we are. So it's really a toxic trait women have. Yeah, that is also helped by other people. So people help you be toxic, but it's women who really need to change that aspect.
So is it self-inflicted in your opinion?
No, okay, it is and it isn't. Because
some women honestly just save for their children, mostly single mothers, because there's no one else who actually make that sacrifice.
Yes.
When does it become something noble, if ever it is, and when is it manipulation?
Sometimes I can't even really tell. I think it's like those things that happen in life. If you're lucky, it will be a good thing you did. If you are not, which is usually the norm, then it won't happen. Because what happens, and I learned this from some financial advisor on an Oprah show, who said that the problem with women is we give so much, and in giving so much, we stay in that poverty rut. Yeah. So what will happen is I will give everything to my children. And then when they are now maybe at uni, whatever, I've given them what I can give them, and now they must work. I'm now old and tired and probably sick because I over-exerted myself. I didn't eat well because of the kids and whatnot. So now the children are trying to work, are trying to go to school, and the little money they have as they are trying to start life, they must now look after me. And then, so we're stuck in this poverty rut. We will never get out of it because we are running in circles. Yeah. So now all money, they don't even have money to even invest. And you see very many people these days actually complain. They call it black tax, saying that if I don't send money home, they won't eat. If I don't do this, they won't whatever. I can't invest. I can't move on in life. Because I'm carrying all these people. But this same young man or young woman, had they reached a certain point and you told them, Nani, now go and see how you can do whatever I have. At least me, I'm comfortable. I'll be able to eat. So don't worry about me. You only have to worry about yourself. Yeah. So that guy will move faster because now I'm only worrying about myself. I'm traveling light, so I can move faster. Then now I'll reach a point where I can say, now, okay, I can now go back home and comfortably invest at home. Yeah. And that's the rut that we fall into. And it's something also I'm discovering, even with myself, even with my finances, is maybe my expenses are 30 bob. And I will get 30 bob and I'll pay all the 30 bob. And then now I have nothing to do anything with. I can't even buy socks, So it's getting to the point where these are not comfortable patterns to break. It's get to the point where you say, okay, I have 30 bob, my expenses are 30 bob, these people are shouting at me, yes, but I'm okay, I'll be uncomfortable a bit. I'll pay 25. So that 5 can push me towards the month. I'm not borrowing again. I'm not going back into the same rut. So you see now I've paid 25. By the end of the month now I owe 35. Yeah. But then now I was able to get 40 because I did not I used that 5 to be able to do one or two things. So now I have 40. So my expenses are 35 and I still say no, I'll pay 30. Yeah. And now I have 10. Yeah. So it's some of these things are actually sitting down and learning who will be able to get out of it. So instead of giving that child everything that can only push him for 2 years, and now all of us are now looking at him, because sometimes it's the first child we've given him everything. Now he now has me and his siblings to look after. Yeah. So why not give him, say, now for me, fend for yourself. At least now you only have yourself and me, I only have these 3. Yeah. So at some point, I know we'll be able to help each other. Something will come up. If I find something, I push. If you find something, you push. Then push again the next child. That type of thing. So self-abandonment, people can use so many things to justify it. People say, oh, but I'm a good mother. I give my children everything. But are you a good mother? because being good starts with being good to you. I'll only be a good person to somebody else, even to my children, if I'm good to myself. So if I'm overextended, that's why you find you are hearing now people saying, I have a mother wound. Because your mother was trying so hard to be there for you, not there for herself. She became toxic. So the only thing you're hearing in the house is, hey, I'm the one who's here. Your father is not even here. I'm giving you everything. And you people are not even appreciating. You see what I'm saying? So it's actually problematic. Yes.
You give too much.
Yeah, be good to yourself first. Because then I'll have something to give you. But if I've given you everything, and children don't have the capacity to give back.
Yes.
That's why I tell women, have friends your age. Go out with people your age. Don't say, I really hate this thing of my child is my best friend. No. Get friends your age. Because you're giving them too many things that are not.
Yeah, you actually spoke about that in your book.
Yeah.
Responsibilities, and you're not letting them be children.
Children, yes. You parentify them. In fact, now they become co-parents. Yeah. They will now co-parents. Everybody, all of them are sitting in the house like a board. Sasa tuna pesa, tuna nyanya, baba yenyu alitufanya. So that's where it comes from. Don't abandon self. You are not doing anybody any favors. More so, those people you think you are abandoning for, even your husband. Even for your parents. The minute you abandon yourself, just know then that is a toxic relationship.
Yeah, as you said, Felgonah, you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's very important to nourish yourself first and have something to share.
Yes.
And speaking about children and their parents and friendship, especially mother-daughter relationships, we are encouraged. Have you watched the movie Adolescence?
No, I haven't.
You should watch it.
Yes.
So when I was looking up relationships, such relationships, it came up. And it's something that I think will pique your interest.
Yes.
It's very, very informative, especially to parents.
Yes.
So I want to know, from your opinion, where does being a friend to your child end? Because nowadays parents are encouraged to form friendships with their children, especially mothers, so that daughters tell them whatever is happening to them. Where do you draw the line between being the daughter's best friend and being their parent?
Yeah. So this is my take. When children are young, they need structure, they need discipline, they need provision, and even in that space, there should be an avenue where they can speak and be heard. Yeah. And so you must always create an environment, which is not easy, by the way. It's not easy to have your child come back to you and say, I didn't like that you said this to me. I felt this type of way. So that should be encouraged, where they can come and tell. It should be a safe space where I can come and say, somebody touched me, and you believe them. Or somebody said this to me, and they should know that I will take your side. Yeah. And that is not being friends. I see people say, my daughter is my best friend, and the daughter is 5 years old. That's not your best friend. Yeah. Get your friends that are your age mates. So as they grow older, because the discipline changes, their dynamics change. So as they grow older, now when you have your children in their 20s, then now they start becoming your friend, because the way you relate is no longer, and I know what you should do best, because now they are now getting into their own life, and you trust that whatever it is that you planted in them is good enough for them to be able to lead their life. So now you're taking a more friend role, where do your thing, it's not working, come back. I'm still your mother. You still have a place to stay, or you still have a place to come to. You still have somebody who will back you up. You still have an advocate, even, yeah. But go figure it out, yeah. So even in that place, when they're doing things that you think are not right, you will not take the same tone that you took when they were 5, because now this is an adult, yeah. So at that stage, it can make sense where you say, my mother is my friend, or best friend type thing, yeah. Because usually when people say friend, it's where you are so open with the child. I see people say, oh, I'm so open with my kids. My boyfriends come to my house in and out. There are some things now that become problematic. Yes, you can open with your kids. Say, for example, if you're dating, if you're in that type of situation, but you can't bring anybody walking in, out, and it can't be temporary people also walking in and out of their lives. So that openness has to be for the benefit of the child. Yeah, not so that you can do whatever it is you feel like. Because sometimes people say we're open with the kids, they even know when we are fighting. There's some things that are scary for children at a certain age. Yes, they can know when you have a disagreement, but you cannot be punching each other in the face, or shouting at each other, or calling each other names in front of children, because you want them to know what's happening in the family. Yeah. So the openness must come with safety for the kids. They must always feel safe, because there's some things that you can let a child know that now scares them, because they're like, oh, if these ones are doing this now, and the ones are supposed to be looking after us, then what happens? Yeah, to us.
Yeah, I get it. That boundary needs to be there. Let your child be the child, and be the parent.
Thank you.
Which you should really be. There's one thing that I have seen women, and sometimes myself, struggle with: being vulnerable, simultaneously being hypersensitive. How do we strike a balance between openness and resilience? Because sometimes when you're too open, so many things come at you, and you become the good woman, and everything just passes through you. And sometimes you can't express yourself enough, and it has relationships. So how do we have a balance that allows for openness and actually allows for women to be resilient in who they are?
Yeah, so I'm assuming you're speaking vulnerability in relationship, or vulnerability in general, because I feel in relationship. Yeah. There's one thing somebody told me once. They said, you should always listen to yourself. That first thought, listen to that thought, because you always know, but you might have other information you want to convince yourself with. But if you look back on all your relationships, you always knew. There was nothing that surprised. Okay, you'll act surprised because, for the content and for the plot. But when you sit down by yourself, you just be like, I knew this. Vulnerability would need us to exercise a muscle that is intuition, that intuition muscle, where you trust yourself. You really need to be able to trust yourself. And that's why I say that first thing. You meet somebody.
Instinct.
Yes. There's always you meet somebody just like, no. And then they talk a bit of English, and like, yeah, but he's well spoken. He's in touch with this person. I don't know what. You're not giving yourself stories. Yeah. But you knew at the beginning. Yeah. So a lot of these things is not even something big that you have to go and read a whole book about, whatever. We came with a lot of these things. We just forget and we gaslight ourselves. Yeah. So you will know who you can be open to. You will know who you can let into certain parts of yourself. And you should be able to trust yourself and trust the other person to come into that space and then be open. By the time you are feeling, and this is now also from my lived experience, by the time you're feeling you're on that hypersensitive mode where you're just thinking, you're looking for, you already know. That's why you're looking for it. Because if you don't know, you won't look for it.
Yes.
You only look for things that you know. Yeah. So again, it's sitting down with yourself and understanding your patterns, and then knowing those patterns quickly and then catching them quickly. Yeah. So if I meet this person and maybe they come off okay, or maybe I've already cheated myself into it, and then I catch myself, not even catch him. You see, I think this is one thing I also had to learn about relationships, because we are often taught in relationships to look for the signs in them. Anafanyanga nini? What time do they wake up? What do they? So we are so fixated on that, and very many people now know how to perform. Yeah, instead of looking at me and why am I always here? You know, what keeps bringing me here? What keeps bringing me here? So instead of saying, men, I always attract bad men. No, you entertain bad men. Yeah, because men just try everywhere. You know, you try here. And when you're entertained is where you stay. Yeah. So you entertain this particular type of person. Yeah. So what is it about you? So vulnerability will start there, where you have those conversations with yourself. What is it about me? Why am I scared of this? Why is it that when I get to this point of the relationship, I'm doing this? Why? Ask yourself those whys. Don't ever get into a relationship looking for signs from him. Look at the signs on you, and that will help you, navigate the space.
You said in your book about men knowing what they really want and going exactly for that, and women knowing and hoping
it will drop on our heads. Yes, yeah.
What's the main difference between men and women when it comes to pursuing what truly makes them happy or what they really want? What have you seen in your experience, the difference between these two genders?
Yes.
And what can we do as women to really go after
what we want? Yes, yeah. So it starts off, remember when you're a girl and you liked a boy, early teenhood, you liked a boy, you didn't care and look needy. People think I'm too forward. If you like that boy, you just liked him.
It is what it is.
Yes, and you found ways to show him you liked him. Either you shared your food with him, or you gave him a pen during whatever, or you moved for him on the bench. That type of thing. You did whatever. Then somewhere we learned shame. We learned shame, but it was not called shame. It was called being a lady. It was called being feminine. It was, it has very many nice names, but it's shame, because now you're embarrassed to say that I want. They say a lady doesn't show a man that she wants him. A lady doesn't show a man. Yeah, she must be pursued. So we gave it very many nice names, but it is shame. We then now are scared of saying, I want that man. I like that man, or even I want a man. By the time a woman just says, I want a man.
I saw you say that last time I was watching something that you're in. You said something like that.
Yeah. I want because what's the shame in it? I didn't come here to eat grass, and I don't have to do it. I came here to have some experiences, some relationships, and I happen to be attracted to men. So it's only natural that I would want a male partner. So why is it shameful? And people just be like, hey, she even wants a man. Can you imagine at her age? She's divorced, married, dropout. She wants a man.
Shame over more shame.
Yes. So then what that does to us is now we are always so busy on all these articles and whatever that tell us where pink men are attracted to pink. Put red lipstick, it reminds him I don't know what. Wear the hair this way, it shows that you are this. Dress and sit this way because it does the other thing. So now you go into a party, and the man also comes into a party. This man walks into that room and says, I like pam, pam, pam. That's my top 3. Yes. I love those. Those are the ones I'm going for. A woman will also walk in and say, oh, I like that guy. The man will then get his drink and start towards that woman.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is this, I do whatever. And she'll say, no, I'm not interested. And be like, okay, move to the next one. And that one might be iffy, or might agree. And then he says, I'm happy to stop here because these are my top. These are the ones I was looking for. But a woman then will come and she's worn her pink dress that they said that attract men. She's put pink red lipstick. She's combed her hair this way and she's sitting this way. And then she sits. The top 3 men are also looking for their own top 3. You now some guy will come from left and they're just like, and it's always that guy you can't stand. And it's
approaching.
Yes, it's that guy in the group, and usually he's the friend to one of the ones you want.
He's the one who comes.
Yes, and he's loud and he's annoying. But then at some point you tell yourself, at least I got a man. Yeah, and then you're there because your friends also don't have anybody else. So you're just like, you see, at least me, I got somebody, and I didn't get anybody. And then you see, so what happens is many of us are in relationships with men we don't like. And what happens, what that does to us is, at some point, this man will figure it out. He'll figure it out because there's a way, everybody has had that one person who's like them and they know what it feels like for somebody to really like you.
Really? They figure it out?
Yes, they figure it out.
Slow?
No, I think it's a trick. You know, like the way animals play dead. Yeah, the way animals play dead so that they're not they're not eaten by other animals. It's a thing they do. Just let me be foolish. And that's another lie we really told ourselves. So we're outside here thinking we are champions of relationships. Men are dumb. You must tell them. You must tell them what to do. Otherwise they don't. They know when they like a woman. They know what to do. Yeah. So then that denies us a lot. You are in relationships with people you don't like. You waste a lot of your time, and time is life. Your life is time. You quantify your time here on earth with how many hours did I spend with so and so, how many years did I spend. So imagine spending 10 years with somebody you didn't even have, you didn't even like.
Yeah.
You just kind of convinced yourself.
Connection.
Yes, no connection. Yeah. And relationship is supposed to be spiritual almost. It's supposed to ignite things. It's not you come and you're just like, it's mechanical. Yeah, that's why I didn't have headaches. Because you just know what you're supposed to do. You just know it.
Congratulations for not having headaches. That's rare. That's very rare.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of things rooted in how women are in relationships is shame. A lot of it stops us from so many things. There's nothing wrong with liking a man. There's nothing wrong with wanting a man. There's nothing wrong with saying you want a man. There's nothing wrong with making a move. And the moves are made differently. It's not to come here, man, and dragging him and putting him on your shoulder and going.
Threads on X where men put out this manosphere story and everything. They come out and say that share screenshots of women who are simping in your DM. So, okay, some are a bit desperate. But now it shames. It shames the whole notion that you should wait to be approached, and never should you make a move. Just sit there, pity, hoping.
What are the chances, though? What are the chances? Today in the morning, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were just talking about, those people, the love that you never did anything about. And we had many conversations about people who are our parents' age. Somebody who loved this person, never really said. And then they finally say it when the person has died, because you are there and you're wondering, why is this one crying so much? And he has a family and whatnot. But can you imagine living just because you were scared of making it known? Living your life is embarrassing. It's embarrassing AF, because you are going to be failing in front of people.
And if you don't fail, you don't grow.
Exactly. Yeah. So living your life and pursuing whatever it is you want to pursue is going to be very embarrassing. So you're going to be rejected, because just because you say you pursue somebody doesn't mean you're not rejected. Men are rejected every day. Men take rejection very well, some indeed. Yeah, but we need to build that resilience where you say, okay, I didn't get it today.
Yes.
It's not this one. Okay, fine, I tried. Then tomorrow. But it can't be that now somebody said no to me and took a screenshot. Now I'll never live again.
Yes.
And this it's just that shame. I don't know why it works so hard on women. even when you look at these trending things on social media, if it is a man found with a woman, but they know that guy leaves it off immediately.
Yes.
I mean, he shakes it off. In fact, he's now, every podcast wants him. He's now talking about
Hey, what is it?
advice and
Yes.
whatever. And he's trending.
Attachment conference.
Yes.
Kila mahali.
Yes.
Oh.
But a woman, now, it's now the same situation. And now we want to drag it for long. And then you find the woman wants to even hide.
Everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. No, we need to get to that situation where we accept that failure, we accept embarrassment, we accept mistakes, because that's the only way you grow.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
I have seen this concept of living in many of your written work. I'd like to ask you, do you believe that living, whether a mindset, a relationship, or something that's not working, does it lead someone closer to finding self-love? And what is your experience around this?
Well, I live a lot. Sometimes I don't even live physically. I might live in my head before I live. And I always thought there was something wrong with me. And then I tried to stay. And in that trying to stay, I suffered double. I'll give an example, even in work, life. I love to write. I've always written. And I would write, start the writing. Then somebody tells you, this is actually much better. And then you do that thing, and you have no business being there. Then now you leave, then come back again. And now I've lost time. Yeah. Then now again I have to come back and start afresh. Then I get something else, and then you leave. My regret is not leaving sooner. In a lot of my situations, is not leaving sooner. Not that it was easy to leave, and not that I was going to leave to something better, but had I left sooner, then I'd have had more time to do what needed to be done, and then I would be further. Leaving quickly saves your life in most cases, because and especially like in relationships, you find people sitting in a relationship, there might not be domestic violence, so you think it's not too bad, but then you become a shell of who you are, and trying to get yourself back is another thing. It's taken me 15 years to try and to get myself back, yeah, and then grow also quickly, because I had to get back to 20, that girl who I was, who had so many dreams, ambitions, and whatnot. First get there, and then now grow.
Yes.
I tell people I lived my 20s in my 30s.
Yeah.
Yes, I was busy with the children. So I come home, quickly feed children, cook, and then run to the disco. Because I'm still trying to catch up. Yeah, to catch up with growth even. Yeah. So living, I'd say, is so important. If we learn to live, then I think a lot of things would go in our favor much faster.
Is it courage we need?
It's courage. Sometimes it's courage. Sometimes it's just also being naive. Sometimes you need that innocence to just live. Because sometimes we have so much information. Oh, I have children. Who's going to love me? We'll have another relationship. Yeah, it can be bliss. I'm telling you, it can be bliss. Because there's so many things you tell yourself. Oh my God, if I knew, I would not even have tried. But you did it, and it became something good. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But you're just like, oh, I didn't know anything, but I just stepped in, and then this whole new world.
Yes. Just gave way.
Yeah, it opened. Yeah. So living, many women need to learn to live. Many women need to learn to live. It should be an option always. Yeah.
I believe you, and I trust in living as well. Because sometimes you overstay in something and you start self-loathing. That did you call it motherhood? That one, because you're in that situation for so long.
For so long,
and
yeah.
You blame yourself partly because you didn't live, and then you reflect it on others.
Yes.
And start living out a very miserable life.
And you become such a horrible person to be around. Yeah.
You've spoken about Felgonah, the wonderful woman you're named after, your mother. Do you believe that our ancestral mothers have a role, or do they define the identity that we take on, the modern woman. Do our ancestral mothers define our identity? Because there are burdens that they carried, and there are things that are passed on consciously or
unconsciously.
Do they play a role in the identity of the women that we are today, the modern African women?
I think they do. I think my grandmothers, I feel my grandmothers and my mother. I feel their silence more. Many were silenced, and I feel that because of their silence, I must speak. And it's not even like it's a must. I just feel it's the way I'm loving them by speaking. Because a lot of things are passed on. A lot of fears are passed on. A lot of hurt is passed on. We give them the voices. I think the onus is on us as the modern women to give them their voices, to tell their stories. And that's how we give them the voice to tell their stories. Stories they were not able to tell. We must tell. We must humanize them. You see, Africans in this day and age we don't humanize our mothers and our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers. In fact, when we talk about them, she was such a hardworking woman who used to wake up at 5. She had 25 chicken that should feed all of them by herself. She's a horse, a workhorse. She's never a woman with feelings. I discovered about one of the women in my family that somebody else loved her, somebody who was not her husband.
The person was crying too much.
Yes, yeah. So you know these things when you realize, like, oh yeah, she was like a chick that another man could see and say, I love that woman. So we've never given them that. We've never allowed them to be women, to be girls, to be. We've just wanted them to be that thing that we go back to and cry to, the one that will carry all our burdens. Even when she's old and can't stand up, she's still making chapatis. We never allowed those women to be women. We never allowed them even to love. How many people can say, oh, my grandmother was in love with my grandfather? It would be a very beautiful story. If somebody had one, I'd really love to hear it, because it would be a very beautiful story. But you'd never hear those, that she even that she liked some. I see them these days in the village, and I'm so happy when I see them, because when you go home, she'll ask you for like a bottle of chrome. You give her chrome. You'll be drinking, and I love that for them, because I'm just like, Ma, do you? I will be sitting there drinking her chrome and enjoying. Because they never had joy. In fact, that's the thing. Our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers didn't have joy. We never have stories of joy. We just have stories of resilience and hardship and perseverance, endurance. Yes, yeah. Sure. But there's never stories of joy. And I think that's what I'd say for us now, that's what we should do is look for stories of joy and see them as women, not the donkeys that are there to work.
Personally, I started seeing my mother, the woman she is, as late as last year.
Yeah.
Because you have to have grace. The things that you expect your mother to know is expected of her.
But sometimes she doesn't know.
She's a human being. Yes. She's figuring some things
This is her first time here also.
That's the grace we don't extend to our ancestral mothers. We expect them to know everything.
And you
to
can't.
have done it better.
Yes.
Sometimes it grows animosity, because we expect them to be the map, everything. And they're only human.
Fighting their own battles. And I tell young women these days, because the way young women now are big on feminism and fighting, and I'm like, remember your mother is also a girl. When you're fighting for somebody, you don't know that other woman women must do. Your mother is a girl. Yeah, and she needs that advocacy as well.
Start with her.
Her, yes,
Advocacy
yes.
start with her.
Yeah, so she might not have done things that are right, but now as an adult, because we cannot carry that thing always. That my mother did this to me, and you want to carry it, drag it, and I'm now cutting contact, no contact. We are going because she triggers me. They have all those whatever. You can't keep dragging it. It reaches a point where you know better. Yes, go back and then figure it out, and remember she's just a girl.
Yeah. I will try to remember that, and then remind myself every day, even to my sisters. We are all figuring things out, and it goes a long way to extend grace to people knowingly, because very knowingly, because sometimes you're very vengeful. We want you to retaliate, but it ends up hurting both parties, and relationships just go down the drain. Yeah. For women, picking up the pieces from failed marriages, marriages that didn't work out, put it in that way, what would you advise them towards the process of healing? Sometimes people leave relationships and they don't even acknowledge or know their role in that failed relationship, regardless of the relationship, whether it's intersexual or just platonic.
Yes.
What would you advise these women towards their journey of recovery and healing and moving forward?
So I always say, at least because this worked for me, is figure out your part in that failed relationship. What that does is it gives you power. It makes you realize that you are not a victim, you are not a walkover. These were two people, and you gave, I gave, you gave, I gave. You see, when you have that dynamic where we are equals, then it gives me I'm not living as if I'm a victim. And what happens is when you live as a victim, then you open yourself to more problems, because then you're looking for a savior. And that's why you find women in cults and other abusive relationships, because you're looking for somebody to save you. But if you acknowledge your part, then you don't need a savior. The next thing is accept all emotions. One of them being anger. Yeah, it's a healthy emotion. You must express it and find the right ways to express it. I'm not a forgive and forget advocate. I think that makes us passive and victims. You must do what must be done. Yeah. So if it was a marriage, you need your children taken care of, and you're not going to forgive and forget to go to court. Yeah, and get what is supposed to happen. He abused you, whatever, go to the police station. Do whatever it is you must do, to the chief or whatever it is. But use that anger, to get you to advocate for yourself. So this passive thing that Mungu atamuona. No, you're not going to see him. You figure that thing out right now and do what that must be done. So express your anger. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Again, we are shamed into not even having our own emotions, because I told she's an angry, bitter woman. Yeah, I'm angry. I had a horrible relationship. I'm not going to be coming out smiling. I'm not insane. I have feelings. I'm a human being. So you can't think that somebody's going to be harassing me and traumatizing me, then I'll come out smiling. I'm going to be bitter for some time. Get over it. So it's okay to be angry, because you went through something. It's okay to be bitter. And because when you're angry, then you acknowledge that thing that you went through. Yeah. So you're not sweeping it under the rug. Then it comes out at a certain point. Again, I also advocate for therapy, counseling. I say this all the time, and everybody wants to eat me. Non-faith-based counseling. Don't go to church to try to figure out your divorce. You're going to be more broken. And there's an example of one just the other day. One of these pastors who likes TikTok, and this lady goes and says, "Otio bwanangu ameniacha, and I want to know why." And he tells her it's because of the way she cut her hair. So get a therapist, a psychologist, get somebody who is interested in you here now, and who has made it their life's work to help you figure out the things that you could be going through. Non-faith-based, because very many times women have gone for counseling and it has become a prayer session. Let's just pray for him. You are hurting, maybe even you don't have food at home. No, don't take him to the police or don't take him to court. Let's pray. In fact, I remember there's a story of a woman who was saying that she was told to pray so she can even get a bigger job so that she can look after them, then now he'll have money. I think he probably doesn't have enough money to look after the children now. So now if they pray for a better job, then now when he has a lot of money, now he'll have some too. I was just like, what are you people talking about? So go to a non-faith-based, somebody who's interested in helping you now, who's not interested in where your soul goes after this, who's seeing you now, and who has your best interest at heart. Yeah. So that for me, I think is very important. Yeah. And then the other thing is spending time with yourself. If you think about it, very many times we don't spend time with ourselves. We might be alone sometimes, but really sitting down and allowing, unpacking your thoughts and talking to yourself and trying to figure out why some things are happening the way they are. Why am I like this? Yeah. Why do I do this? Why did I do the other? Just have conversations with yourself, open ones, where you're not really judging yourself or whatever, but just give yourself space to just bear it out and just say, okay, this is my rubbish. It stinks, but this is it. And then figuring it out. Yeah.
Got it. I don't know if all faith-based counseling suck. Maybe there are those sensational ones.
But do you want to take a chance? That's what you need to figure. Yeah.
Your life anyway. And there's this concept I got from your book about Western feminism and African feminism. In your opinion, what's the difference between those two? And do you believe African feminism is better suited to deal with our cultural dynamics?
Yes, it is. You see, I have a problem with Western feminism, Western femininity, because they don't resonate with us. Yeah. So we start off, because the African woman is many things. And we do many things that we will not say is feminine. Yeah. I'll give an example. From where I'm from, women are generally very confident women. We speak up, and I think, and I believe it's because of also the way we are cultured, the way we are socialized. Our fathers love us, and we have pet names, so we're not excited when one day somebody starts calling you Jabari, just like have a home, So we are generally very confident people, and then you do what must be done. So there's sometimes you go home you'll go home and if there's a panga, people are cut, and you cut whatever needs to be cut. And if the ship needs to be moved this way, you'll move them. And even taking back to the old days, if there was war and there were no men, the women went to war. And we had women kings. Somebody was saying, don't call them queens, because now if you call them a queen, then again you put them in that feminine, Western feminine box. Yeah.
What should they be again?
Women kings.
Women kings.
Yes, because if you say women queens, remember queen again is a different. When you look at when you look at the word queen, how does a queen behave? And you don't have time for that at all, or whatever it is. Yeah. So African women took on very many diverse roles. Yeah. You are healers. You are priestesses. Even in the spiritual world, there were the female gods and the goddesses and the gods and what have you, different spirits for different things, witches and whatnot. Yeah. So when we now the West comes to us, they first come to us with teaching us how to be feminine, and they tell us the things we wear are not, now they sexualize us. Because we weren't dressed the way they came. So what we were wearing, again, that wasn't good enough. We had to wear long. We couldn't wear all our beads. We couldn't do our hairs the way we wanted them to do. So then they put us in a box. And then women don't speak up. They don't shout. But Africans shout. We shout all over the place. Have you seen our dances? We dance and we throw ourselves all of them. But that was not feminine. Yes. Yeah, because a woman, you don't break a sweat. You just, but for us, it was you danced and you jumped up and did whatever. So they then put us near to, at some point, bado tutatingiza the right places. Yeah, and which is not, feminine, that type, a proper lady. Then at some point, the women decided, okay, and that form of femininity is more childlike, infantile. You speak softly. You don't age. There's a problem Western femininity has with aging. So you're always looking young. There's always that obsession that I must look younger, must look younger, must look younger. And then your body even isn't allowed to do what women's body do. We grow hair, we do what, but we're always trying to remove all those things. Okay, sometimes it's okay, but it can't be that now you're obsessed with younger, looking like an adolescent type, whatever. You want to remove everything from your body. Yeah. So then it reached a point where then the women decided, no, we want to do something. They're not allowed to work because if you worked, it's too much for you. You can't read. If you are too knowledgeable, it's not good for you. And then the fairer, of course, you are, the more feminine you are. So even you see that it amongst the slaves, the fairer slaves worked in the house. The darker skinned ones were perceived to be more masculine. So they were in the field.
So lightness was more feminine?
More feminine, yeah. So, and that's why people are bleaching, because the standard of femininity is fairness. Yeah. So you're trying to look more to their standards. Yeah. Not realizing that as Africans, we are a variety of shades, and we are a variety of sizes. We have different everything. So then now this woman decides now she needs to take her power back. So she starts a feminist movement. The only reason that there were Black people at that time is because they needed numbers. But I think Sajona Truth had a speech where she said entire woman, because they just wanted them for the number. These are the truths we need to tell ourselves. It looks nice, but we need that history should inform us before we pick something and take it out for ourselves. All women want to work. Which African woman anywhere in the world has never worked? In fact, our fight is different. Our fight is that we want the work we do quantified. We want the work we do acknowledged, because there are so many roles that women play that people think you should just do, but that's not the case. Yeah. So we must then now come back and say, who are we? Yeah, because a lot of who we were erased when the missionaries and all these other foreigners came in. So we left our culture at some point and picked theirs and moved on, and picked their fights and moved on, and their fights we have no business being with. African womanhood is not us versus them, because a lot of feminists, you find them, is usually us versus them. There's always a war. No man can tell me anything. No man, it's anger. It's But for us, there was always a rhythm. There's a way we worked. It didn't always look good. Maybe now we don't know, because now we're out looking in. Yes. We've moved on to a certain point, but we were not allowed to evolve. But there are very many things people have changed. Yeah, there are certain places where there was FGM, but they have said, okay, let's look for another form of rite of passage. This one is harming us. That's how culture changes. We say, okay, this is not good now. We have now new information, and let's act on this new information. So for us now, we should sit down as Africans and say, what exactly are our pain points? Because for us, it doesn't work to be against men. Yeah, these Westerners have laws that actually work to keep people apart. Yeah, we will give you food stamps as long as you're a single woman. The minute you get into a relationship, we want to make life so much harder for you to be in a relationship.
But the other day, and I was told that, I was so surprised that the government, there's a whole system that supports singlehood and single parenthood.
Yes. And those are things now we should move away from, because this is what I saw and this is what I've read, is that marriage in the African society wasn't between two people. It was between two communities that came together. One maybe went and checked out and said, okay, they're good people. I've seen we can go, what we have and what they have can go together, and we can build something out of it. So you had a whole community rooting for you. We knew what it is that you are supposed to do, and if you didn't do it, then there were people who were ready to make sure that you either behaved or you faced the consequences. But now we're getting to the point where we're saying, oh, it's those two people. And those two people now are fighting by themselves, because when you get married to somebody, you don't just marry one person. You marry their devils, their illnesses, their all their problems, their village people, their witch doctors. Yes. But you see, now we are two people and we don't know how to deal with this thing. And then we look to the West. And now I'm telling you, I'm a woman, I can do it all by myself. I don't need you. And I don't know what it is I'm talking about. So we need homegrown solutions. We need to come back and say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. What are our problems? How do we then sort our problems? What are our numbers? We don't even do research. We don't have statistics of use. Most of the things people talk about, that 90% of marriages end up in divorce. It's not ours. It's from somebody else. Yeah, 90% of women do. I don't know what, earn more than men. Some of them, again, we don't really look at the numbers and try to understand them. Some of these numbers we get so that we can fight each other. So you find that a lot of the advocacy we are doing right now is fighting each other, which will not help us. Yeah. So let's go back and get homegrown solutions.
Where will this discussion start from? Where do you believe it will start from?
We've started. We're having them. And I believe women are the ones who should really have these discussions, because we are the keepers of tradition, we're the keepers of culture, we're the teachers, we are the first teachers of our children. We keep traditions as grandmothers. We tell our grandchildren stories. We are our first teachers for our children. We are telling them, this is what we do here, these people do this, do that. So if we have this information and we have these discussions and we say we want to change and move this in this direction, we'll change it.
Yes.
Yeah, because we parent all our children. We don't just parent boys or just girls. All those children start with us, and we are the ones who tell them move this way. So a lot of what we see now is children who've grown up with hurt. If I was hurt, I've hurt this child, and now this child has a mother wound. That wound they keep whatever. Now maybe doesn't like women, or now doesn't want marriage, or now doesn't want, instead of making information based on something else, it's because of the pain we have taught them.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's tell another story.
Yes.
We then must be brave and want to change, because it's up to the women. We can have 200 NGOs come here. We can have all the money and I don't know what, but if the women themselves don't decide that, listen, this is not working, what can we do? What new story are we going to tell? What new culture are we going to keep? Yeah, then nothing changes.
There's this dimension that I have come across about Africans not documenting their culture, their own story, something that the West does very well. What do you think about that? Because most of the things that we read, the statistics that you quoted, are documented somewhere else. But we don't seem to be keen on documenting our struggles, our needs, our culture, so that the future generations can learn from what we had.
Yeah. We were denied our culture. I want to say we were denied, and I also want to say we are lazy, because there are other people, like the Nigerians, some of them have really kept culture. The Indians have really kept their culture. The Chinese have really kept their culture. So I want to say, one, we were denied. Two, we are lazy. We didn't fight enough. So we were very quick to pick somebody else's lifestyle and want to tell somebody else's story. And you can tell it from even the things we watch, even some of the things we produce, some of the music we produce. Although now you find that a lot of our young musicians are now digging deep into who we are and producing, music that's us. Yes. And there's something spiritual about it when you listen to it and you're like, oh my God, it's beautiful to see and experience. We must stop thinking somebody else's is better than ours. I think that's also been our biggest problem. We must stop fearing who we are. That your culture did something bad doesn't mean that you're going to do something bad. That's why you're here, to change it. You can see it is bad, so you must speak up and say, no, guys, We need to change this, and it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to have to keep saying it. You have to keep saying it. And as I said, for me, the biggest drivers for Africa is women. We are the only ones who will change our generations to come. So we start telling the stories. We start changing that narrative. We start spending more time. And you see, like for us, our I think maybe also why we say they kept better records, because for ours it was oral. Our stories were never written. There was always somebody who told the story. Even now, if you go to your village, you'll be told that Nani is the one who knows people from over here. There's always that person. So that we are in the digital age. We should then now record those stories. Yeah, you don't have to sit down and write them. You can actually have somebody.
Just tell us.
Yeah, tell us. Yeah. So everybody should take up that assignment. And I like TikTok. Yeah, there are so many younger people who are going home and talking to their grandmothers and their grandfathers and getting all these oral stories, and now they are
sharing it with the world.
Yeah, and it's on for life, forever, for as long as the people, the internet never forgets. Yeah, let's be those people. Everybody just take up. Don't wait. There's nobody who's coming. We are the people. Yeah, we are the ones. Yeah. This isn't your tuko. Yeah.
Talking about the role of mothers and how women hold everything together. They propagate whatever we need to move forward.
Yeah.
You have previously said in one of your pieces of work that African women empowerment does not belong in boardrooms. Do you still hold that notion?
I still do. Because by the time we are meeting in the boardroom, we already know what's up. Yeah, we already know this is wrong, this is right. So even if we talk until we are blue and write papers, we were sharing papers with people who know what it is that's going on.
Where should they happen?
The conversations should happen at the ground. The conversation should happen on the podcast. Why are you people discussing? What are you discussing? You don't want us to. Can you bring it out here? Yeah, I don't understand what it is we are sharing hidden in some resort somewhere, spending millions of shillings. And these are the things that actually really need to stop in the name of empowering women. Because you could have actually had a Twitter space.
Yes.
Yeah, had a lot of conversation, and that 10 million we are going to use there actually went on the ground and did something about it. It's not enough to take photographs of women and say we are helping women. Today we gave them sanitary pads. It's good, but it's not enough. Yeah, there's more that can be done. So women's empowerment belongs where the women are, the women who need the empowerment, not the women who are already empowered. Yeah, it's the women who need empowerment. We need to go down and start changing your grandmother in the village. Yeah, you need to go down and have those conversations with your auntie in wherever. You go to get out. Yeah, it can't be within.
How has storytelling helped you process your life occurrences, and helping you heal? What's the role storytelling has played in this?
Storytelling has given my pain language, so that I can interact with it, so that I can share it with somebody who may need it. Without being able to speak, I think I would have drowned in the pain. It also allows me to, when you've put it out there, to then reflect. Once you know it's out, sometimes it doesn't look so big. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it even teaches me things. Yeah. So I've been able to heal because I've been able to share my pain. Yeah.
And I've seen this in your books. How have you demonstrated this, and how do you relate this to modern day complexities?
So, the relationship you have with yourself, the pain you have, affects everything around you. It affects the type of jobs you choose. It affects the type of relationships you choose. It affects how you dress. It affects, you've never looked at yourself when you are going through something, but just like, and that time you are thinking you are smart, you have applied oil, but even if you apply, you're still ashy. Yeah. So we take for granted how much our pain affects everything.
Yes.
If you look at the jobs you pick when you are going through something, you will find it's a different job that you'd pick when you are when you have resolved some things in your life. Even the pay, when you're in pain and you're feeling victimized or whatever, you are then more inclined to pick anything, to accept anything. Whatever job they give you, you're just like, you'll take, you're so grateful, you're so whatever. But when you are beginning to resolve things, you are even able to say no. You're like, okay, I don't mind, it's a job, but it's not for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I will not take it. Yes.
Because you have choice.
Yes. So that's why I insist for women to really figure out their pain and speak about it and figure it out, because it will affect every aspect of your life.
As a creative and as a recognized author, what keeps you motivated and what defines your approach to your work?
My experiences.
Yes.
My experiences define editor who knew when I was bleeding. He'd say, you're bleeding on the paper. Because I could be talking about something totally different, but he would be able to read that, you're going through something here. Yeah. So for me, my life informs my writing.
Yes.
The people around me inform my writing. People's experiences, people's pain, people's joy informs what I write. I'm motivated, but I have a lot of, I write a lot. I write every day. Yes. I might not put out everything. Yes, because it helps me process. Yes. When I am able to see the words, then I'm able to process. So I wouldn't say I'm not always motivated. Yes. Sometimes I write and I feel defeated because of what you write, and you see it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes the haters also get yeah, they sing somewhere. But what I know is that this is what I'm supposed to do, and if I don't do it, I might die. Yeah.
So you actually stem off your stories and other people's stories.
Yes.
Around emotions, because
Yes.
I know you write about relationship, both intersexual and womanhood. And
yes.
Do you write about fatherhood and manhood?
Okay, I don't really write about manhood.
Yeah.
But the fatherhood part, I write a lot about my dad. My dad really and still does impact my life. So I write a lot about that relationship. I write a lot about, like big brothers, uncles, because my uncles and my brothers, my cousins have really, I feel have impacted my life. So on that, I write about men that way. I don't write about manhood because I don't think I'm qualified to. I can only write about manhood from how I experience it. Yeah. So what I felt is positive and what I felt is negative. But I don't think I would not want to start telling men that this
how to do manhood.
I can tell you how to be a human. Yes. I mean, how to do humanhood. I say, like, for me, this is my experience as a human being. Then I can tell you my experience as a woman. And then I can say, this is how I've experienced manhood from men. Yeah.
That's really something. As this is the Power Dialogue Africa, we're very big on empowering our listeners with every conversation that we have.
Yes.
I'd like for you to share with us, especially to creatives who are starting on this journey, for authors, what are some practical lessons, like 3, that have worked for you in your journey, that they could actually apply to theirs to be more progressive and to be more successful in their endeavor? Yeah,
so the first thing I would say is something I was told also when I decided to take my writing seriously. Oyunga Pala told me, just keep showing up to the empty page. Yeah, you don't have to have a whole plan, but just every day show up to that empty page and put down something. There's no shortcut. There's no tip. That I can say, read your dictionary 5 pages every day and get, So
there's no secret.
There's no secret. You just keep showing up. It's like a muscle. Yeah. You keep working it. You keep working it, and then you get your voice. And it's not easy and it's not hard. It's just something that if you believe you're supposed to do, you just do it, and you will find your voice. You will find your people. And you will make it. You will make it. You don't have to compete or think of the next person. Just face your laptop, face your book, your empty paper, show up and just write here. And then just keep giving it, keep feeding it, keep feeding it, one day it will, they say, siku moja itajipa. Yeah. So you keep feeding it, because that you just never know which day that is. Yeah. And the more you're scared, the more you're on the right track. The day you become cocky and you think, I can do it, then step back.
So fear is a good motivation.
Fear, you need fear. Fear really helps
I'm
you
very
think.
scared right now.
Yay.
Actually, I am, but I'm doing it.
Yes. No, it's important, because you see, when you're fearful, then also you don't leave things to chance, because you're thinking, okay, this could do, this. So you're always, you have it, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing my father told me. My father was a lecturer, a law lecturer, but he told me he'd lectured for years, for very many years. And he said every time before he got into a class, he would feel nervous. And that's how he knew he was still okay to do it. The minute you feel that you know everything and you're okay, you'll get here, then utaban.
Yeah.
Yeah, utaban.
Everything goes.
Yeah.
Felgonah, if someone is to write a book about you, maybe 10 years from now, what would you want the book to have as your impact on preserving African culture and actually encouraging women to be in touch with their womanhood?
I just want the book to say that I was myself. I was just me, figuring it out every day. Yeah. And I hope I still am able to do that.
Yes.
For many years to come. I hope I grow comfortable with embarrassing myself in the pursuit of what. Yeah, fail. Yeah. But I'm African, and that's all I am. And so I hope that it captures that I was just me, African. Yeah. Somebody the other day, I was wearing denim suit, and she said, I've never seen you in anything African. I'm like, no, but I'm wearing African. He's like, no, but this is jeans. I've never seen you in African. I'm like, listen, I'm wearing African. Somebody can come here, take our tea and call it English tea. And then you go to China, you go to China or Holland, buy fabric, bring it here and call it African wear. Nani, I bought this jeans, it's African. Yeah, so I've just been African. Yeah, and that's what African should be for everybody who's African. Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received, and whom was it from?
Do I have the best advice? I'm trying to think. Because I've had a lot of advice. I want to say this one. I think this one helped me a bit. My mother always said, if you don't like a man, don't spend time with him, because you'll start liking him.
Really?
Yes. So if the onset you don't like him, just stay away from him, because I think women, if you stay around him enough, you just like, it's not so bad. If I buy him a trouser, then I get him black socks, some lotion, some lotion to kidogo.
It reminds me of something my mother tells me, that if you are not going to answer a call, or she puts it in the context of someone knocking. If someone keeps knocking and they keep looking out for that knock, you'll eventually open the door.
Yes.
So stop waiting for that knock.
Yes. Move on.
Yeah, and answering, because when you keep asking, Inani,
yes. So they knock and you ignore. Yeah.
What's the pressing need that you feel Africa needs to address at this point in time?
It would be remembering who we are, because we don't. And it reflects on everything, the leadership that we have. We don't treat each other well. We've reached a point where people will bargain with anything. Your life, your children's lives, food that you're eating, medicine. Yeah, we've become something else. That's not who we are. Africans cared for each other, cared for community. Yeah, cared for continuity. It wasn't just me, how much can I get for me, and not caring what the other person is. So I think right now, the most pressing thing we need is remembering who we are. Yeah, I think it would change a lot.
I hope we can do that. If you could have a day with an African leader or anyone who's African, who will it be?
Alive or dead?
I don't
Do they have to be alive?
The dead.
No, we can have spirit.
Yeah, you can choose anyone, any African
Mm,
alive,
mm.
or let me say, any African leader or any African.
Mm.
Who will it be and why?
It have to be Winnie Mandela.
Why?
Winnie, when you read Winnie's story, that was one tough woman. I admire her, and somewhere I feel for her. Because without Winnie, there'd be no Mandela, there'd be no Nelson Mandela. She kept him alive. And that just shows you what you can be if a woman loves you. If a strong woman loves you, you will never die. Mandela will never die because of Winnie. Yeah. She kept his story alive, kept his struggle alive, at the expense of so much. Yeah, her freedom, her safety, her children's safety. She bought into his vision. It became hers. And she that was a tough woman. And even to the end, and not have bitterness, even after everything that happened. I'd like to know what she did, because I would have even looked for a witch doctor to kill somebody. I'm just like, somebody's going to pay. I don't care.
I'll go look for Winnie Mandela.
Yes.
Never interested me in that.
I love
but
that.
I'll go and figure her out because you have mentioned her.
Yeah,
that
I love that woman. I love her. When she died, I cried like I knew her. I love that woman. Yeah, that's a tough woman. Yeah, and I don't think she gets enough. Yes, and because of some things that have been said, I can't say whether she did or not because I was not there. But in times of war, in times of when you're fighting for something, things happen. And they're not usually nice things. Yes. Yeah. So to wake up then and then decide you are at fault and not other people, then the curse of being a woman. Yeah.
And them always comes back to
yes.
Somehow it finds way.
Yes. And they use the exact same arsenal. She was sleeping with small boys. She was sleeping with yes, all those things. Yeah. Same. The rule book doesn't change. Yeah.
What do you believe is the most African thing about you?
Me. I'm just me. I think me. The way I speak. The way I think, the way I talk, the way I love. Everything I do, the way I cook, the way I dress. Yeah. The way
Denim.
Yes. It's African. It's on me. Yeah.
What's your favorite destination in Kenya, if you have any, and why is it
I do. I have Mambrui. Yes, I love it. I spent time there. Yeah, so there's a time I was going through something, so I went there, and so because they have to pick you from the airport because of if you don't have a 4-wheel drive, so they pick you, and so I went to this little boutique hotel. And you know those ones, when the car comes, everybody comes out, including the owner, to sing for you. Jambo sana. So I walk in, I come out, and I'm by myself. And the Italian man looks at me. No man, I give you discount. Yeah, it was so sad for me. I was just like, how can you come out this way to this beautiful place? You have no man. I was like, no man, I give you discount. And he gave me a discount. I got a discount, but it's a beautiful place. Quiet. You sit at the beach and you realize how small you are. Here's the water, here's the sand, nothing for miles. And you realize you are really small. But at the same time, you realize that as small as you are, it was so important for you to be here. You know, that
it dawns on you.
Yes, that something, the universe, God, whatever, picked you, a small cow, and can see you and knows you in all this big space. Yeah.
Oh, that's so powerful. And I'm glad I've been there. I'm such a good brand ambassador.
Yes. Yeah.
As we finish, I'd like for you to tell us the books you've written and where we can get them and where we can find you on social, on email. Please let us.
My latest book, of course, Okay, I'm Healed.
Yes.
Send Me Another Man. So it's dating intentionally after divorce. Then I have Adwa is Dating in Nairobi, which is a comic book. So it's a collection of comics about the dating scene in Nairobi. So again, I draw from my own experiences and other people's experiences. Just poke fun at
Is it
Nairobi.
an adult comic book or is it?
You know, when you say adult comic, I found out the hard way. When you say adult, they think it's porn.
Yes,
yes,
not porn,
yes, not porn. But yes, but
age specific.
Yes, it's age specific. Because again, we don't want to ruin dating for young people. Let them figure it out first before we tell them what happens. So it's somebody who's 25 and above. Yeah, you've dated a bit. Some things will resonate with you. Yeah, so that's another one. Then I have things I wish they told me, how to enjoy a relationship with an African man. So this is an ebook. It's available on, in fact, if you just Google it, you'll get the link. Or if you follow me on my socials, you'll get the link. So it's an ebook. Remember they said you might think I'm there giving you tips how to enjoy whatever. The tips, remember, everything I say about relationships, yes. Everything I say about relationships, I really need you to be the one to be looking at you. Yeah, we're not here. I'm not trying to build the peacocks to perform for love or for attention. No. So it's for you to, I'm big on choice. Yes. I just feel that women should always have a choice. You must always have a say in something that happened, things that happen around you. And my first book is Aminata, which is an urban fairy tale. So this one is available on Kindle. All my books actually are also available on Kindle and Amazon. Yeah. So this one is available on Kindle. It's for children. It's the first book I wrote. I wrote it for my for my two young girls. They had wanted, like when they were younger, you don't really pay too much attention to what they're reading or whatever until one day one is asking Ati, I want to be a princess, and the other says, you can't be a princess, you're not white and you don't have blue eyes, and because of Snow White or Cinderella, all of them were. So I sat there and then with them, and we wrote an urban fairy tale with things that they could relate to, situations. It has themes around technology, girls in technology. It has things around disease, HIV/AIDS, self-esteem, self-acceptance, bleaching type themes. So yeah, that's the first book. Yeah.
What's your party shot?
When you put somebody on the spot like that, I have so many parting shots. But what I'd say, for women, let's take ownership of our culture. Yeah, so it's not enough for somebody to tell us what it's supposed to be and give it to us to push it. Yes. Now we're saying we are getting our own culture. We are creating part of the creating process and part of the distribution.
And with that, we come to the end of our conversation with Felgonah for now and for today. But still, you can catch up with her on social, on Kindle, and online, wherever you can find her. And you can still listen to this podcast and watch this show on YouTube, along other many exciting shows. Until next time, I'll be empowering you and cheering you on. Bye. See you on the next one.